Hello, thank you for joining me today. Today, I give you excerpts of today's radio broadcast on Word of Inspiration. Today, I shared part 4 of the 10 P's of Joseph's life and how to apply it to your life to fulfill God's purpose for your life. And part 4 was entitled The House of Potiphar. And I shared from Genesis 39, verse 2, where the Bible tells us that and the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master. The next verse tells us that, and Potiphar saw that Joseph was a prosperous man, and he committed so much into his hand. And so we examined the fact that what did Potiphar see? He saw diligence, he saw integrity, he saw hard work. He saw a man who was accountable, a man who was honest, a man who was respectful. If Joseph had been disrespectful, showing up late for work, lazy about his job, I don't think Potiphar would have promoted him. And we also noticed the fact that when Joseph went into Potiphar's house, he really was only 17. And we're told that at the age of 28, he was in prison and had to interpret a dream, which means that he had only been between Potiphar's house and the prison was 11-year period. And we don't know how long he was in Potiphar's house. So we had no idea how long it took for him to be promoted. But not long after he got into the house, in spite of the many servants that Potiphar had, Potiphar saw Joseph's abilities and he decided to promote him. First, he became overseer of his house, which really in today's terminology, we would say he was his chief operations officer. And then he promoted him to his chief estate manager. He managed everything in Potiphar's house. And the Bible explains to us that it got to a point Potiphar did not even know anything that was going on in his house, save the food which he ate. Now, what that means is that Joseph was making sure the cooks were on top of things, his meals were ready, his clothes were washed, he was on time, whatever he needed for meetings were done. Now, the Bible does not say that Joseph took over Potiphar's job. He was still an officer to Pharaoh. He was captain of the guard. He had business to do, but so long as his house was concerned, Joseph had it covered. And so today I encouraged every one of us, if you're in that Joseph period of your life where you're in Potiphar's house, that you do exactly what Joseph did. And you need to recognize the Potiphar's house period. At that time, you're not your boss. You answer to someone. And it might seem as if you're just working for nothing. You're just promoting this other person. And some people might say, I'm just making my boss rich. Yes, it's okay. It is just for a period. It is a season when God prepares you for something bigger. Potiphar's house means you're not in the public eye. You've just got Potiphar to serve. But watch, the behavior you put up in Potiphar's house is extremely important in what level you get to. I know many people who have become great, and it's because they passed Potiphar's house. And I gave Joel Osteen as an example. 17 years of obscurity, just serving his father and making him look good on television. But when his time came, he had already learned the ropes, and so becoming a pastor was an easier task. And I could go on and on and on. And then there are many people who get to that Potiphar stage. They're lazy, they're insolent, they're disrespectful, and they never really achieve their maximum. And so Potiphar's house is a very important stage. But finally, we also notice that Potiphar's house is a place of great testing. It's a place where you could lie, you could be dishonest, and probably get away with it. And Joseph faced a massive test. The Bible says that the adulterous woman will hunt for the precious soul. At that time, his soul was precious. He was handsome, he was good looking, he was running the house. And Potiphar's wife set her eyes on him. And the Bible says he told Joseph, lay with me. In today's terminology, somebody would think, well, the mistress of the house has given me a scholarship. But no, she did it day after day. The Bible doesn't say whether it was for a year or 2 years, but Joseph had a strategy. He decided to stay away from the woman. He made sure he was not alone with him. And then just one day, when all the men in the house were gone, she grabbed him and forced him, almost trying to rape him. Well, he was wise. He ran away. The woman lied on him and it landed him in jail. But Potiphar's house still teaches us, though, that time can be a time of great testing. If you yield, nobody will see. If you yield to temptation, nobody will see it. But years down the road, you will pay for it. I've seen very important political figures who have reached the heights of their careers, and something that happened during their time in Potiphar's house suddenly comes back to haunt them. Some young woman comes and says, well, he sexually harassed me, or he did this, or he stole this, and suddenly they fall like a hot potato. They're gone. They're not on the radar anymore, because when they're in Potiphar's house, they did not learn discipline. And Potiphar's house is important for learning. It's important for fledging your skills. Over there, Joseph learned the language, Egyptian language, because he was going to need it to interpret dreams and to help Pharaoh administer the famine years ahead. And he also had to learn the culture. So if you're in the Potiphar stage of your life, the whole goal of the radio program was that today you will recognize that period and learn the essential elements you need for that period so you can fulfill God's purpose for your life. I hope you've been blessed and you get to listen to the radio program. God richly bless you.